Welcome to episode one
Yes.
of our new show. She is Lais and I am the coach, and that is the name of our show.
First of all, if there's ever been a time for personal bubble, this is it.
We will always stay true to what we do. What you're doing is going to get you to the next place.
Right.
Throw the list away. What? It's only a matter of time before you cave.
You can look way better than you used to.
Such a great experience.
Well, like it knows everything you've given.
Shown curiosity. What if it actually works?
I've been chopped down como persona.
100%.
An extra
You're sitting right now. Sometimes it is a memory.
Welcome, everybody. Peace out, everybody. Welcome, everybody,
To Lais and The Coach, and on today's episode, we have a brand new special guest, Courtney. Courtney, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We are excited. We have a lot of questions to kind of throw your way. But before we get started, so Courtney is an author and she is a creative consultant. And based on some of the things that I looked at, also an artist.
I am. Yeah, I'm a singer and I write some music, all that. Yeah.
Cool. So I think that a lot of what we do is transformation, right? We do a lot of physical transformation. And I think that the things that we do are in line, obviously on different ends of the spectrum, but at the end, we're still looking to get whomever we are working with on the other side of whatever it is that they are looking for, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's all about the mindset and whatever you're doing.
Couldn't agree with you more. So some of the things that I read about you is, so you wrote a book called "You Are the Sum of Your Last Two Moves,"
Yes, I
and you
did.
use the Fibonacci sequence for that.
Yeah, I had learned in math class when I was like a long time ago. Um, and I was always so intrigued by it because the video that our math teacher played was about just how everything in nature was created off of it, music, which as a show choir nerd in high school, I was very attracted to. And I totally forgot about the Fibonacci sequence until I was listening to a YouTube video and he had mentioned how Myron Golden had mentioned how like you can take disciplines in one area and principles in one area and put it towards another discipline. And so I randomly just kind of had the idea that sparked the Fibonacci sequence. And I was so stuck in a rut in my business. And I thought, well, what if the Fibonacci sequence that's in everything in creation can also fix my business? And it 100% did. So yeah. And I realized that like I was trying to be somebody else and not who I was authentically made to be. And that's kind of where this whole book came out is like a lot of MLMs, a lot of like just scammy done for you type of stuff is like feeding these lies to especially moms like me that hey, we can like get your business up and going or whatever it is, but really in whatever you're doing there's only one path and it's like unique to you and you have to discover that. And so that's what I teach in my book.
Awesome. So how did you walk us through the journey, right? Like how do you go from whatever it was that you were doing to writing a book to now, the kind of consulting that you do? How did it all get started?
Yeah, so I originally went to school for music therapy. I went in wanting to help people, but my grandma who raised me, she was very adamant about me continuing music, which, it's not usually what people's parents want them to do, but she was like, you have a gift, like you need to keep doing it. So I was like, fine, I'll find one that's like social work and music, and that I landed on music therapy. But I hated it. And I did an internship in a psych hospital. I just didn't like how clinical everything was, where I got amazing results where like I would just be playing live music and my patients would literally say to me, our pain is at a 10 after your session, just 1 hour of playing music with them. Their pain was at a 0. And they
Wow.
literally didn't take their like painkiller medicine after the thing. And so I really did enjoy the like healing side of it, but I hated how insurance was really, they would make us do things like write notes for 6 hours because we had to write a note on every single patient in the psych hospital just because they wanted to bill for it, even if they didn't really attend. So we had to
So
make them.
interesting because I went to
So
school. I went to school for exercise science, and
Oh
when I
yeah.
graduated, I interned in a physical therapy clinic because I thought I was going to go that route. And a lot of the patients that I saw, one of the reasons that I didn't pursue it was that because even inside of a session, they would already know that their insurance had only approved two or three more visits, and that's as far as we were going to go. And it was frustrating on this side because you want to help, but you're limited to whatever the bureaucracy of the system allows you to do. And it was the main reason why I didn't even pursue it.
No, 100%. I've seen that in so many areas. Like I think we've gotten so we're always waiting for permission from people and just go make your own thing. Like I'm in the process, I already got approved by the music therapy board to teach this as a continuing education course. Because what I ended up doing is like I created a pregnancy course from scratch for one of my clients who was I was running meta ads for. And it made me think, oh, maybe I can do a course on my songwriting stuff. And I did. And then that also then led me to the idea of, oh, if I can take a really random skill I have and turn it into an asset that helps people, other people can do this too. That's how I got to the book. And like, yeah, we're always waiting for permission, but you can create your own and you can make your own certification on whatever you want. And I've seen a lot of therapists doing that too because it's like they have to diagnose people and maybe they don't want to diagnose people because it's not helpful like for them as a person. And so I even just see a lot of people going away from the traditional whatever it is, whether it's like physical therapy or music therapy, whatever type of credential, because they don't matter.
Was there a combination of things that happened that kind of led you to have that moment where you're like, I can do my own thing?
I heard somebody tell me like you don't need permission, and I was very much like a studious type person, but getting into the entrepreneur world, I had gone into this like done for you program, and they were just making up crap like left and right. I wouldn't say their business model was great, and they had a lot of angry customers. But they constantly used me as like their testimony because a lot of things were working for me just because I had a lot of knowledge on the back end before getting in. But I just noticed how like they were just making crap up and making like millions of dollars a month. And I thought, okay, well, if they're just making up crap, if I'm going to be ethical and honest about, the stuff that I'm doing, then I can do the same. And that there really is no limitation. So that's kind of where I came to that conclusion. Is just seeing, people like, Gary V, he's making V friends. He's making his own Pokemon. Like you can make
Right.
whatever you want.
Were you always like that, where you're like, there are no limitations, like I can just do whatever I want? Or is that something that like you picked up along the way, or someone taught you, or an experience taught you, or something like that? Because I feel like a lot of people, back to like mindset, like you were saying
Yeah.
before, I feel like a lot of people don't have that. Like they're not subscribed to that. Like if that person did it, I could do it too. Like is that something you've always had? Like you were born with it, or
Oh, absolutely not. I am very much like the cautious, studious type of person. Like I was in foster care when I was really little and my grandparents got me out. And so like a big part of my, I guess I would call it programming, is I felt like I had to do everything perfect to like be accepted no matter what. And so that definitely followed me. I think once I started having kids and just starting to open my mind up to other people's mindsets. So like I have a mentor and he talks a lot about mindset shift and that how we're all programmed into a failure operating mindset. And that's through education systems, everything, like our whole life, like being told you're dumb. I used to get told that my ideas were dumb all the time. And like to give you an example, as a kid, I had told my grandma, oh, I think it would be really cool if we could fast forward TV. And this was before TiVo came out or any of like the fast forwarding stuff. And I just remember people saying to me like that is like a dumb idea. That could never happen. And then a couple of years later it happens. But like I was constantly, I think all of us get attacked on like the gift that we're really good at. And so I completely shut that side of me down. And it wasn't until somebody else really believed in me that I started opening my mind out of that. And that was through mentorship because their mind was already unlocked and I needed somebody to unlock mine.
Was there a feeling of like a lack of alignment, considering that you had so many different things that were pulling you? Was there any kind of, feeling of like spread too thin because you're all over the place? Like you're running meta ads for someone, but you're being called to do this. Did you ever feel like, am I losing my mind?
Am I
Or
crazy?
right, because I got all these things that I want to do, or are you just multi-passionate and you're like, well, just a matter of time before I do it all?
Yeah, I'm multi-passionate, but I'll say currently that is like the thing I'm working on is focus. Because yeah, I do spread myself too thin. I like just to give you an example, I just wrote and published another book, The Cheat Guide to AI, because I help people in the AI world too. And like I realized that maybe that is a good thing, but it also is kind of detracting from my other things. And so it's more about trying as many things as you can and figuring out like what the market needs. And then what I'm not good at is letting things go. And other people would let a project go and just focus on the thing that's going to make them the most money or help the most people. So, yeah, that's something I'm working on it because, yeah, I do spread myself too thin. I overcommit and I just yesterday said no to a project, and that was huge for me because I didn't want to do that. They're doing they wanted me to help build from scratch their biohacking fertility course, and I was like super interested in that because I see that as a market need with people, going through IVF, and she's just teaching you have to eat seeds to like fix all that, you know.
Right.
But at the same time, I can't have my hands in everything, and nobody can. So.
Do you feel like a lot of the things that kind of like call you or draw you are all things that you can turn into a business, or are some of them just things that you're interested or curious about and you don't necessarily pursue them, with any kind of business in mind?
Um, so it used to be that way. Like pre being an entrepreneur, I just had a lot of different hobbies. Like I would get interested in like sewing or I get interested in this and that. And then when I moved into like, having kids and all of that, it's become more of a business mindset. So anything I pursue, I don't go into it. I play like a kid. So I play around with it. And then if I think, oh, like people need this, then that's when I turn it into a business. So for example, like I wrote my book by talking it out, like completely talking it out. I prompted AI to ask me introspective questions. And I was telling somebody in our mastermind about it, and he was like, you can turn that into an offer. And I was like, really? Like, I think everybody knows how to do this. But I trialed it out. So a couple people hired me to teach them this method. And like every single person's like eyes widened and it was like unlocked creativity. And that's what made me realize, oh, people aren't using this the same way. And so even though I was just playing around with like Claude and ChatGPT to write this way, it then turned into a business. But it came from me playing around first. And I think
One of
that's,
one of the
I
things
love
that
that. Play like a
uh,
child. I like that.
yeah, one of
yeah.
the things that I saw you say is that people feel stuck when they stop learning and growing because we're constantly meant to evolve. And it's something that we say all the time, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So how have you seen that play out in some of the work that you do?
Yeah, so constantly evolving. So, I mean, I originally started my business. I left a nonprofit job that was burning me out. Um, because I wanted to stay home with my kid. Somebody said, "Oh, if you're a copywriter, you can make like, all the claims you hear on the internet." They're like, "This person's making 20K a month." And I was like, "That sounds amazing. Let me do that." And then AI happened, and so I evolved into then learning meta ads because I realized, okay, messaging is important, but this is going to give people results quicker and they can understand that return on investment easier than copywriting on when you're getting your foot in the door. And so I learned that. And then as I was doing that, AI became a lot more relevant. People need landing pages. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, Replit can teach you landing pages and like can build them from one prompt. So let me learn that. So it's just constantly like there's never an end point like and I think a lot of times like some people will get really successful doing one thing and I've seen them get stuck like at their highest points in their careers they're stuck because they're doing the same thing over and over again. And we all have that limitless potential. It's like you might do something for a season, but once you feel not satisfied, then that's your sign that you need to start learning something. And
You know,
whatever's
one,
progression.
one of the things that we often talk about is that, a lot of the people that we work with, a lot of people that we coach, they're at a point in life where they went to school, they got a degree in X, Y, or Z thing, and they don't really enjoy what they're doing anymore. And I don't feel like they ever have almost the perspicacity to consider that they could just do something else. Because a lot of times that's labeled as a midlife crisis, right? When you're in your 40s and you decide to quit your job and start a farm or
Insert thing, like change your hair, change your, yeah.
insert thing. So what would you say to the person that maybe their last move or their last two moves didn't play out the way they thought? What would you say to that person, that's kind of feeling an itch to do something different, but doesn't really know what to do because it sounds crazy, if they're in their mid 40s at this point.
Yeah, I would say it's all about perception, but the first thing I'd have them do is write down every single job that they've ever done and then what skills they learned. Then what did people constantly come to them for? And those are the clues of where you're going to find your purpose. Because I think we all get like a little bit, and myself included, shiny object syndrome where we see something on the internet and we're like, oh, I want to do that. And that's not a good route to go. And that's where I feel a lot of people fail. And like, that's where some of the shame will come from. But if you actually go back and extract, okay, like for example, say somebody constantly comes to you to fill up the printer ink, like just something so basic. Well, that then shows you that you're reliable and you're there during times when people need you the most. And you might be a really good virtual assistant. Say you're like always going to, like people are always coming to you to gossip at the water cooler or whatever it is. Then, okay, that shows that like you're really great at like listening, and sales is all listening. So maybe you want to get yourself into a sales job, like high ticket sales, because all they want are people who are really good listeners that can listen and then just reflect back, because that's really what sales is, on a higher ticket end. But I would say list all that out and then look at what the market's needing and go do that. Like a big thing, and I had somebody tell me this when I first started in marketing. They said, "What do you know about marketing?" I literally had someone in my family say that. They're like, "You don't know anything about marketing," because they got a marketing degree. But literally a year and a half later, they're coming to me for marketing advice and they had a master's in marketing.
Right.
Like it's not about like the idea is there because it's a clue, and then it's up to you to pursue it and pursue it hard.
I agree. The when somebody comes to us for coaching, there's usually like different levels to what they're looking to do, whether somebody's looking to lose weight or transform for a photo shoot, all the way to stepping on stage in a fitness competition. And one of the things that we always say is like, depending on what level of commitment they have, they're either going to see that through or not, because everything else has a way to back out. When you talk about the last two moves, like what do you consider a real move is, in terms of somebody doing something that's going to kind of like shift them in the direction that they should go? Like what does it really mean for somebody to make a move, based on some of the things that you've done?
Yeah, so I'd say like I mean we'll take fitness like what you're talking about. So, your habits are a huge part of your success. And so, you know, this is a personal example. I have three kids under three, and I I have not had a
That's a
healthy
handful.
the past few years. And it's shown like I am not at a healthy place where I want to be. And I got on a call. They weren't even talking to me, but I jumped on right when my mentor had said to somebody else, if you just eat food grown from the earth for 7 days, no caffeine, no, not even tea or like a little bit of coffee, just eat food grown from the ground for 7 days, see what happens, see how you feel. And that was the mindset shift. So like that's a move that you can do. Where, like maybe you have tried other things. You just try one new thing and see how it happens. And now maybe you do it, which I did, and I felt amazing. Well, that felt like a little quantum leap for me when I did that. So now I can, on a business side, I can teach people quantum weight loss by teaching them to do one thing, but in a different mindset. Because a lot of us here, I mean, I'm not doing this, but that's a business idea somebody could do. And like a lot of people in like diet culture and all of this, they might just say cut out sugar, cut out carbs. They say cut out. And but just by changing the language of just do this and eat food grown from the earth, like that's a very positive thing. And so then just by you trying that little thing, now you have a whole business idea. So like that's where like these moves come from. They can be so little, but they can also be like very dramatic as well.
I love that. Were you able to continue to do that? Like, did you do that for the 7 days?
Yeah, so I did it for 7 days and I like actually lost 10 pounds. And this was like the week before like, the time of the month. And so that was like really surprising for me. Um, and so what I decided to do is like realistically with my lifestyle with kids, I thought, okay, I can do this during the week. And so during the week, Monday through Friday, that's what I do now. And then on the weekends when there's birthday parties and maybe this will change later, but at the moment, that's where I'm at of like, I don't want to deal with the constant, like, oh, this and that questions from people. And that's my own personal thing I have to work through. But like right now, it makes sense for me to do it during the week and then have those 2 days with my family where that's not a concern for my brain.
Got it. What do you think are like the biggest mistakes that people make when they're trying to like build momentum?
I would say they're not consistent. And I think I'm at fault for this. And I think anybody who feels stuck, that's their problem. Because some people will go, for example, a lot of the most successful YouTubers, they have been on for years, but they didn't make an objection, like a goal of getting so many followers. They made a goal of an objective, which could be I'm going to post one video a week for 10 years and see how I do. And when you do that, your success is inevitable, your momentum is inevitable because you've set a clear expectation for yourself. But when you just make a goal like, oh, I'm going to lose 10 pounds or I'm going to get this many followers, there's no clear roadmap to that. And if you don't hit that goal, then you're disappointed. Versus now you're not disappointed because you were consistent and you did make a video every week. And so then that's where that momentum comes from. Like, I mean, I go on social media and I'll post for a week and then not post for a week. That's inconsistent. So I can't expect myself to grow in the same way somebody who posts every single day, or even like I'm going to post every Monday and Wednesday, and that's their schedule. That's going to build more momentum than somebody who says, I'm going to post every day and does it for a month.
Yeah. Just going back to like something that you said before, one of the things, this will be 30 years that I'm coaching people
Yeah.
in terms of transformations and their fitness and their health. And one of the things that I always find interesting is how much of a burden sometimes paying attention to your food feels like, right? Like we pay attention to so many things. We
Yeah.
pay attention to our bills. You have children. We have two kids. Like you pay attention to so many things, and we all know that the oxygen mask is supposed to go on first if the plane's going down. Yet in the day-to-day grind, it becomes such a burden to pay attention to what you're eating or how you're taking care of yourself. How have you seen that, in your world, how somebody shows up in terms of how much energy they are putting into themselves will dictate what direction, whatever business or whatever thing they are trying to get out of the process that they are on will influence whether or not it works. For example, if somebody has bad energy or they don't necessarily have a lot of activity in their life, so they're really down all the time, they don't necessarily, eat things that are going to support the energy that they need to get something off the ground. How would you address the I guess the burden that they feel when they have to pay attention to something that is going to create the impact that they want down the road, but isn't going to feel like it is because what you're eating and your business kind of aren't related, even though what you're eating is related to how you are, and then you are related to your business, and so on and so forth.
Oh, well, one, I 100% agree. I actually think they are so t close together that you can't separate them. So like my mentor, he's in his 60s and he's jacked. He's like has more muscle than like most 30-year-old men. And he makes a lot of money. And so I've noticed such a pattern of like your health and your wealth are intertwined and you can't separate them. But I have this concept called energy privilege. So I know like lots of people like think of, white privilege or this privilege or that privilege, pretty privilege, whatever it is. But I really actually think it all boils down to energy privilege. I'm really into energy. So I'm glad you brought that up. Because, a lot of us, like things happen to all of us. Like life is gonna be hard. And some people get put into a victim mindset and it myself included. Like it's not hard to put yourself in a victim mindset. We're like supposed to get there. And that robs you of your energy when you start feeling bad for yourself. And like, yeah, to give an example, after my third baby, I was overwhelmed. I don't have family here. And man, I was like, oops, I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but like I literally lied to myself that like eating fast food every like lunchtime was okay because I was doing a car nap. And like that ruined my body, like, and not just my body, but it ruined my headspace. It ruined like just how I thought about myself. Um, and like, I don't want that for other people. Um, and so I think like what you guys are doing is so important because if you don't fix what you like, your body is a temple. And if you don't fix what you put in it, you can't have an output. And like you're saying with the oxygen mask, you literally cannot serve people because you're operating at such a low energy. And our energy is the only thing that allows us to get to our goals and be at a place we want to be.
You, there was something else that you said, or that I read, where you say you can practically quantum leap by seeking out the right energy source, right? Like mentorship. Why do you think that we struggle so much to seek out help in all areas? Like, we often I coach a lot of women. As a matter of fact, 90% of my clients are women. And at this stage in my career, I can tell you for sure that it's because guys think they know everything, right? They don't want to ask for help. And women are always more receptive to the idea that they don't have the information and want to get better. So they're more receptive to it. But I think even as a whole, there are so many things that we take for granted that we think we should know, and we don't. A lot of it seems like common sense. But why do you think that we struggle so much with the idea of looking for help in some of the simpler areas like parenting or some of the bigger areas like building a business?
Yeah, I would say we live in such an individualistic society. So like most people feel like everybody's self-made. And I thought that too. Like I see these social media managers with like millions of followers and they're like 19 and they're making millions of dollars and everything, right? And I found out one of the ones that I followed who I legitimately thought was self-made, her mentor was Alex Hermosi. Like, and that was her case study. That was his case study. And so I think people have been sold, not intentionally, been sold a lie that everybody seems to be self-made. And that's so further from the truth. And so I don't even think it's like about like a mindset thing. I just think people think that's like mentorship is like an optional thing because that's like we use like society used to be in so much of a apprenticeship and we've lost apprenticeships. We don't do that anymore. And so people don't understand the value of that because our whole society is go to school, you'll learn knowledge and then get a job. And that's not how the world worked for thousands of years until, pretty recently. Like people worked on farms and all these other things that taught them how important mentorship was, and we've just completely lost that.
I agree with that. I think like beyond self-made, I think a lot of times too, like just that you have to have it figured out, right? It's like I should know how to raise my kids. Everyone raises their own kids, or I should know how to eat, or I should know how to, if I have a passion, I can figure this out. I can learn this. Like I can, it's almost like we have to have it figured out instead of like there are people that actually do this that can help you figure this out, whether it's to grow a business or you're having, something with your kid or fitness or whatever it is, lose weight, like it's yes to the mentorship, but also to the fact that like everybody doesn't have to have it figured out and they can always lean on somebody who either knows more or has kind of walked that path to kind of, get their feet wet in it too.
When did you first seek mentorship?
Um, I would say right when I tried the copywriting by myself and failed miserably, I like then bought a course from the person who had mentioned that. And it was just the course side, but she was also giving a lot of like feedback. And I had gone to an event, and this is when I got like real mentorship. I went to their event and I just knew that I had to be a part of their program because they showed the payoff and I wanted that payoff and I wanted it more than anything. And that's when I realized I needed a mentor because everything I had tried everything else and it didn't work. And I think a lot of people get to that point first. And I wish I would have just known prior that no, you don't need to know it all. And most don't. And the best leaders know that they don't know things and find people that know it better to help them.
But I think a lot of times people make excuses for themselves too. Because, like, for example, even with something like that, it's like, yeah, but I wasn't consistent, or I didn't try this, or I didn't try that. Like, we have something that we say all the time when in our industry where it's like, if your car breaks down, like, you're not trying to go YouTube it or chat GPT it and fix it yourself, right? If your AC breaks or your plumbing, like, you call a professional. And a lot of times, I think with health and fitness or with people's mindsets and even with business, it's like, I'll just read this. I'll just figure this out. Or I didn't try this yet. I didn't try that. I haven't been consistent with my food. That's why I haven't lost any weight, instead of acknowledging that you do need that external support. And it isn't like, let me just try something else. Let me just do something else. Like it does need to also be from somebody else.
Oh, I 100% agree. And that's like in the quantum physics world, the only way to get to the next level is to have an energy source. And so I really believe the only energy source to get you to that level is a mentor who's already above you. And yeah, in the fitness space, like my best results have always been with somebody else who is at a place that I want to be at. And you can't get that without it.
Could you just for the sake of anybody watching or listening that doesn't know, could you explain what a quantum leap is?
Oh yeah, so a quantum leap, in the most basic terms, is when like an electron in the quantum physics side jumps to another orbit level, and they usually disappear for a hot second, and then it comes back operating at a higher level. And so I'm not even talking about it in a metaphor for business. I'm talking that literally this happens, and I've seen it in front of my eyes. I've seen it. I'm in one myself. But you literally need some type of energy, which causes that momentum to push you up to that next level. And a lot of people do have like a disappearing point where they might go off social media. They might, if they're working for something really hard, they stop going to, their monthly hangout group and they really do physically disappear for a little bit to get to that next level because of the work that's required. And that work is done in the dark when nobody's watching. So if you're not comfortable with doing that work in the dark, then you're not going to get to that next level.
There's something about being in a group. I think that when you said you went to a conference and you're like, I want to be a part of that. It's like there's something about being a part of a community where everybody is seeking the same thing that you are seeking, that I think even on an energetic level facilitates that quantum leap, because you are no longer being held back because everybody in the group has, symbiotically decided that they are all pursuing it in the same way that you are. And it's almost like the energy in rooms like that makes it easier for everybody to keep moving forward faster. and then that mentor or facilitator of the group um, is crucial to, everybody's success as being a part of that group. But I think that the dynamic of the group and being in that kind of environment certainly plays a big role in propelling somebody into the direction that they're going. Would you say that you've experienced the same?
Oh yeah. So this might sound like a vampire, but I literally absorbed my mentor's energy. And like you basically, and this isn't even like woo woo, but like clinically, like as a music therapist, there's so many studies that when you're singing in choirs, you get that synchronicity and like your heartbeats actually start beating at the same time. And that's why like a lot of people really feel good at live concerts and musicians really understand this energy. They can use it for good or bad. But it also moves into our like the coaching and mentor space too, that like when you're in this room, the leader of that group who's operating at a higher energy level than the people in the room, they are physically giving their energy away, and that's why they feel so drained and so tired because people are taking their energy. And like, you always want to be reciprocal, so give that energy back to somebody else so you're not just a taker. But no, it's like it physically does happen. And so for me, there was a moment at our last mastermind, I was starting to get like really in my head about my book. And I asked him, I said, like, I have this offer and this offer, where should I go? And he looked at me, and this is where the energy transference happened. He was like, Courtney, your book is one of the best books I've ever read. Like, one of the best books I've ever read. It's in my top 20. He's like, so he's like, your content is solid. The question isn't what offer you should do. He's like, what do you want to do? And in that moment, like, I broke down crying. I'm just emotional, I guess. But like other people were like tearing up and clapping for me. And it was like that whole energy was like put into me through belief because somebody else believed in me because I couldn't believe in myself. And in that moment, like everything unlocked for me. Because I had such a mental block that, oh, my stuff wasn't good enough or I can't do this. And I needed to borrow that belief from him to go to the next level.
For somebody who's listening or watching and they're feeling like they're ready to go to the next level, what's something that you think they should ask themselves, and what's something they could do like immediately inside of the next 24 hours that would would be a move, to kind of, stay on topic. What's something they should ask themselves, and what's something that they can do like right away that would create the kind of momentum needed to kind of start taking the steps?
Yeah, well, modern day, we live in a world of AI. I would get out your ChatGPT and I would press the voice to text button and I would tell it about your life. And I'm a friend, not like anything else. Don't be boring, but actually genuinely talk to it like you would talk to somebody and just brain dump everything you're feeling and thinking. Oh, I want to have a job transition, but like I'm worried that if I go into entrepreneurship, this will happen, but I also want to do this and I'm interested in this. Like literally you want to sound like you have ADHD and that's the type of input you're going to put in. And then at the end, ask it like, where should I go with this? And it will give you a really good response because you gave it a lot of context. And that's like a way in the first 24 hours to like understand just an ounce of like what mentorship is. Because somebody, and really chat, I was asking questions about what offers I should do. And it told me, it said, you're spreading yourself too thin and you need to focus. It told me that like last week. And I said, oh, okay, 100%. So that's what I would do. And then look at the market and what problems can you solve? Because we're all here to provide value for people. And business isn't to serve you. And a lot of people go into business trying to serve themselves, and they need to be looking at business on how they can serve others. So, and when you serve others, everything else comes in line. The money, because money is spiritual, money is just a reflection of how much value you bring to the world. So if you bring more value, more money comes your way, and you don't need to worry about the money side.
Where do you think that line is between like the value that somebody actually offers and the value that they think they offer? You know how how
Oh, yeah.
sometimes people have like insight that you may not have on something, but they just don't feel like it's enough.
Yeah, I've definitely struggled with that. Like the technique of me writing my book, I was giving that away for free, and people told me to charge like $5,000 for that. So I think sometimes it's the feedback. So we don't live in isolation, and so you need feedback from other people and test it with them. Like make an offer to somebody, ask them what they would be willing to pay for this type of information. I think there's like people never want to do something free, but when you do it for free for a few people, you get that feedback, and then you can say, okay, is this valuable? Do people want this? And they'll tell you. Like if you don't have the self-awareness, other people will tell you for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. If for any, I want to make sure I don't skip this part, but for anybody that's listening or watching, if they wanted to dive a little bit deeper into some of the stuff that you do, what's the best way for them to find you, or the best resource for them to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I would say I actually am giving my book away for free. This one, the You Are the Sum, on my website. So you can go to Courtney Schawl, which is spelled Schawl, and on the opt-in page, the book is free. I really
And I'll put a
genuinely.
link to that in the show notes
Oh,
as well.
perfect. Yeah, because really, I just want people to really get this that you can be anything, and the only thing is stopping you is yourself.
Um, what's been the thing that you've done inside of all of the variety of things that you've done that has really like transformed you the most?
Um,
Between the music therapy and business consulting, running ads, like inside of
yeah,
everything that you've done, what's the one thing that, or what has shaped you the most of all the different things that you've tried?
really, seriously, it's been mentorship. Like I was doing so many things, and you can't see who you really are when you're inside your own body. And you need other people to tell you sometimes. And so um and that's just true for anything. Like to give you an example, like I have a trouble making my own content on social media, but I can get other people millions of views on their content. And it's Adelie Kinsman made this statement where like you can't see the ingredients on the inside of the bottle. And it's so true. And that's why every single successful person has a mentor because they can see what you can't see because you're like this close to it.
Hmm. I
That's
love
so
that. It's
true.
what they say. Even coaches need coaches, right? It's like this outside eye. Like the outside eye is the outside perspective. It's like they're looking through a lens that you never could because it's yours. Your lens is narrow because it's you, and we are all very critical or biased in how we view ourselves, what we're doing. What has been the most impactful part? I would say specifically about you writing your book.
I think writing the book was like my quantum leap because it's not about the book, and this is why I help so many people write their book. It I became immediately an authority in energy and like Fibonacci sequence things immediately just because I took the time to write the book. And it only took me like 10 hours to do with my method, but the book provides the platform for you to one become an authority, and it opens up doors where we get to be on podcasts. Like you probably wouldn't have me on podcasts if I didn't have this book because you wouldn't know anything about me. And so the book provides people a plane for people to have some type of lens on you, and also your book becomes your content for the next several years. So and your coaching program. So my mentor, he wrote a book years ago, and it's a $20 book, but what he teaches in that book, people pay $1 million for like one time to teach the same principles. It just changes forms because they get one-on-one. He has a $375,000 VIP day for people. Same principles. Same principles in his mastermind, same principles on his YouTube. So once you can find your thing, and it's not hard to find your thing, but like it automatically makes you that authority in that and allows you to have various different assets that will pay you.
I think the alignment in all of the things that you're saying and a lot of the things that we talk about on the show um, really shows you that what you have to do is have some sort of clarity in terms of what you're going to do, and you have to take some sort of action. And then you do want to surround yourself around a group of people that are pursuing something similar, and you definitely want to have an outside eye that has either already been where you're going, or more importantly, has already taken other people to where you want to go. Because one of the things in coaching is always that it's like, just because I can do the thing, I can show up consistently to the gym and I can eat right, doesn't mean that I can give you the same thing, because what worked for me may or may not work for you. But ultimately, the way that I would direct somebody to execute something has to work for them. And I think that inside of the coaching space, one of the most important things is always to ensure that the person that is guiding you is able to guide you to go to the place that you're trying to get to, right? The GPS doesn't really have a bias. You put in directions, it gives you three or four options: a toll road, a non-toll road. It adjusts on the way, but it doesn't have a bias to whether or not. It's just going to take you down the path and assure that you get there if you follow instructions. And I think that good mentorship definitely will give you the leap forward that you're looking for if you allow yourself to be led. Have you found that not everybody is receptive to allowing themselves to be led?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, because a lot of people will get into like a lot of tactical coaching, like what you're kind of saying, but it sounds like you guys teach more principles of like
Hmm.
this might work, and you can't lose with principles because principles never change. But there are people who don't take action or who do not believe it can work out for them. Like if you don't believe that you can look like what's behind you, you're never gonna achieve that, you know? And most people don't believe in that. And so the best thing to teach people is to provide an area where they can believe that for themselves. But as a student, you have to be willing to, one, take action immediately, even if you don't understand the things that they're saying. Two, you have to adopt their beliefs because if you don't have the same mindset and belief system as the mentor you're with, you're never gonna win. And I have seen that, like people in the same program that I'm in are not having the same results. And it's because they're not taking action and they don't, they aren't doing, really, it is just the action. They're really not doing the things they need to do to have the same belief system. Like one of the things is he always is like a lot of affirmation stuff of not like, silly ones, but, like I eat healthy. I like fruits and vegetables, like stuff like that, where it is just like reprogramming your brain. And some people, if you never reprogram your brain, you're never gonna win. It doesn't matter who's coaching you, you're never gonna win.
Yeah, because it's true. A lot of times you have the same coach, the same mentor, and results vary, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
the results vary based on how much somebody buys in, how much somebody goes all in. And because the information is the same, technically speaking, everybody should be able to get massive results if they're being mentored or coached by anybody that's good at what they do. And so I agree with that. It's one of those things where you could be in a room with people that are getting the same guidance from the same person real time, even if you're all doing different things. And you will always see that the people who buy in, even when they can't see it, even when they can't envision it, and they just even when they don't understand it, if they actually go for it and they actually take action, that's what's really going to be on the other side. Like what they're looking for is on the other side of that. But people do really block themselves.
Oh, 100%. It's all action. Like that Gary V guy, he literally says just go do stuff and fail. Like that people, it's such a perception thing. Like people don't want to fail at things, and failing is what gets you to, if you fail more times, you're going to get to the winning part way quicker.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That is true. And I
Very
think,
fast.
and I think like that's a great way to bring it all home, guys. If you've been listening and watching and gotten some value from it, please ask questions in the comment section. Please make sure that you follow Courtney and make sure that you take advantage of her book offer so that you can get her book as well. Courtney, thank you so much for being on the
Yes, this was
show. This
great.
was a great conversation.
We'll put everything in the show notes.
Hopefully one of many. We'd love to chat with you more. And for everybody else that has been listening and watching, do the things that people do on podcasts, like, subscribe, share with your friends. And until next time, peace out, everybody.
Bye, guys.